Two bits of transfer news today. That's going out transfer news. One bit of transfer news coming in and a little bit of other tittle-tattle as well in terms of the West Ham news. Never stops, really, does it? The first bit to talk about is Lucas Paqueta. Now, he has come under a little bit of criticism, and I'll tell you why before we get to the transfer stuff. Just before the game, and I haven't seen the footage myself, I've seen the still images. Apparently, Lucas Paqueta, the newspaper cutting said he sought out Pep Guardiola. I doubt he was seeking him out. I doubt he was walking around saying, "Oh, where's Pep? Anyone seen Pep? Anyone seen Mr. Guardiola? I want to go and shake that guy's hand." They shook hands. They had a hug. He's received quite a lot of stick for it. I say quite a lot. You know what? The people that aren't bothered about it have said nothing at all, and the few people that are have been quite loud about it. So I think the majority of people have seen it for what it is and don't care, but the people that are angered and triggered by it have been very, very noisy about it, that's for sure. But you know what? It's just one of those things. I think we all know that he nearly moved to Man City. I think anyone that's half sensible is going to know the only reason we kept Lucas Paqueta was because he got suspended by Brazil. He got charged by the FA. Oh, not charged. He got investigated by the FA. He's suspended by the Brazilian national team. And because of that, Man City thought they weren't sure whether they wanted to spend 85, 90 million pound on a player who might get a ban. Now, we don't know if Lucas Paqueta is going to get a ban or not. We really, really don't. And in fact, the club unofficially leaked that they don't know. They're saying they're waiting for the FA to charge him. The FA are investigating him. All I can say is the FA must have a lack of evidence. If they've not charged him yet and they're scrimping around, they're searching around for some, they're looking for a smoking gun. I think they might have found a smoking gun. The trouble is they haven't found the gun or the shooter, and that's really their problem at the moment. So, but that was enough for Man City to pull out. And with that in mind, you can understand that the player probably had his heart set on a move to City, but he's been professional all the way along. I think he's bearing in mind everything that's happened. Bearing in mind he was linked away. He probably thought he was joining Man City. He's been dropped from the Brazilian national team, and he's been investigated at the moment. I think his performances have been nothing short of sensational. What strong mental fortitude that guy has. So, do you know what? Bearing in mind he nearly joined, I don't particularly have a problem with him shaking hands with Pep Guardiola. You know, I guess it was almost a sort of no hard feelings. He's been replaced anyway. They've bought Nunez there, so it's not going to happen as far as I'm concerned. He ain't moving to Man City. West Ham were the winners in that. And you know what? Bearing in mind we've just lost Declan Rice, I was happy for that to be so. The other thing is that there was a rumour in a couple of the websites. In fact, one of them I got here. I just got the screen just behind me. So it's Football 365. I saw it in other websites, and that is that Newcastle were planning to raid West Ham. It's always raid, isn't it? Newcastle were planning to raid West Ham for Lucas Paqueta, but they were going to chance their arm with a 50 million to 60 million pound bid. So what? Why would we? Why would honestly West Ham entertain that sort of bid? There's no reason why we would. As of next summer, anyone can buy Lucas Paqueta, but you're going to have to pay 85 million. Now, West Ham don't want to sell the player. He's that good. West Ham are probably seething that there's that clause in his contract. But it was the only way to get him to sign. The only way a player that good was going to sign for West Ham was if he had an exit strategy. And his exit strategy is that he does well at West Ham. He doesn't leave in the first year, which was the deal, which is why the buyout clause is available 24 months after him signing rather than 12. That was the only way he was going to get the deal done. And he knew full well if he played well, it'd be attracting bigger teams than West Ham, and he could get a transfer away. There's nothing we can do about that, but there's absolutely no reason why we would sell Lucas Paqueta to Newcastle or anyone else, to the Dog and Duck, quite frankly, for £60 million. I think the Dog and Duck's budget is probably not. It's probably a packet of peanuts and a pint of Hofmeister, isn't it, quite frankly, rather than 60 million. But you know what I'm saying? We don't have to sell him. So I don't know why. I'm not even calling Newcastle out on this. This is something, as I say, that has appeared in two separate websites. Might have no bearing in fact whatsoever. So why anyone would think that this would even be plausible? Lucas Paqueta is not for sale, nor is Lucas Paqueta. Neither of them are for sale, quite frankly, and certainly you can't get him for 50, 60 million pounds. You just can't. Before I go any further, please can I point you in a direction of our Hammers Chat online store. It's hammerschatstore.com. It's easy enough to find. We've got a whole load of new merchandise, or if you're young, merch in there at the moment. And there's some really, really nice stuff. There's some Prague-based stuff. I say based stuff. You don't have to go to Prague to get it. You can just buy it online. It's actually here in the UK, to be honest with you. And we've got some Jarrod Bowen stuff. We've got some Paolo Di Canio stuff. Just go and check it out. You may well find something there for you. And if you are a patron, if you signed up to our Patreon, which has a free trial at the moment, you can get up to 30% off our online store. Go and check it out. The link is in the description below on this very video. So the other route, well, I say the other route, man, there's a couple of others. The first one's Ekitike, who obviously plays for PSG. We're being linked with him and heavily linked with him. I'm not going to go into any detail on this. I'm not going to talk about it for any longer because the other stuff is certainly more newsworthy. We could talk about Ekitike any day between now and, well, let's say January the 1st, and it is going to be relevant because it is going to be in the news or on a website somewhere. Until West Ham sort the striker situation out, that is what that's going to be on there anyway. A little bit more dissection of the match will be done by myself and Gio. We'll be doing that on our player ratings on Patreon later today. If you're a patron, you can join myself and Gio for that. Also later on today, I'll be uploading a video with myself and my old man, just looking back on the Man City game. So if you haven't had enough of that, I think I sort of have, to be fair. But if you haven't had enough of that, we're going to, sort of have a look back at that and sort of take a little look going forward on that. The other thing to talk about is Nayef Aguerd. It's quite funny. So, well, it's not funny at all. I don't know why I said it's funny. But it's ironic that off the back of that performance, which I thought was a good performance from Aguerd, but he does have a mistake in him, and it does appear that in a post-match press conference, David Moyes sort of, without naming Aguerd, pointed to the mistake. People are trying to read stuff into it. Who else are you going to say was culpable for it? It was. He made a mistake there. He really did. And I think I saw some people saying, well, why doesn't he blame Soufal? I think Soufal was in position. I just think he was just not as quick and not as twisty and turny. That's a technical phrase, by the way. As Jeremy Doku said, couldn't do anything about it. I think it was just poor, mistimed defending by Aguerd. But the interesting thing is that straight away being linked with moves away from West Ham, both Saudi and again Liverpool. I think the one thing I would say about Aguerd is there's a part of me which thinks, well, if he keeps making mistakes in every game, he ain't going to be signed by anybody. However, I think you do a lot more defending at West Ham than you do at other clubs. I think that's the other thing. Not everyone, but you know what I'm saying. The thing is, Liverpool, I would imagine Nayef Aguerd would be defending 30% of the time that he is at West Ham if he's to play for Liverpool. I'm not trying to sell him, by the way, I'm just saying. So you might not ever see those mistakes. Maybe, just maybe, after, long periods of sustained pressure, and he just sort of he just succumbs to it. I mean, the sending off that he had was very, very late in the game, wasn't it? So maybe that's just it. Maybe you just never see those mistakes at a bigger club. Who knows? Interest from Saudi again, and I just think it's something that's probably going to need to be sorted out. The other thing I would say is that David Moyes was ready to replace Aguerd, which I find really weird. And David Moyes is going to have to take a little bit of responsibility for that because he chased him. By David Moyes' own admissions, he chased Nayef Aguerd for 2 seasons. 2 seasons, right? And eventually got him. What did we pay? 30 million, 35 million, something around that, wasn't it? Something like that. Paid that for the player. And by the way, the player's been criticised by a lot of pundits, following the loss to Man City. But bearing in mind, David Moyes wanted him so badly. It's almost like he's played 1 season and, right, that's it, I'm done. I want to replace him with Maguire, which is really what he wanted to do. And we know that to be the case. Because, well, you know what? Kevin Nolan confirmed it in a video. He did, so it wasn't a video. I went on radio the other day onto Talk Sport and he confirmed it there. I mean, you can go and watch it on video because I've uploaded it to their YouTube channel. But you know what? So it would not surprise me at all if West Ham did let Nayef Aguerd go. You're quite interesting. There's more stuff with Jarrod Bowen as well. Again, that ain't, until he signs a new contract, that ain't going away. The one thing I would say about Jarrod Bowen is, though, and I'm sure I will go on to repeat this, you say something with Declan Rice. He's not just about to leave, right? He's got 20 months left on his contract. By the time Jarrod Bowen's contract expires, he's either 28 or 29, probably somewhere in between. you know what? I think there's a temptation to keep him there anyway, you know, for West Ham to try and get him to agree to a new deal. But you know what? It's 20 months, a long time to get someone else in or bring a youngster through or something like that. So I'm pretty chilled on that one, actually, the whole Jarrod Bowen situation. I'm not too concerned about it. There you go. Anyway, that's your West Ham news for today. I'll be back a little bit later having a little chat with our man. For anybody that's interested, don't forget to check out the Hammers Chat store. Link is in the description below.